This is the first panel session at Wibbifit 2024. This panel session promises to be a great and exciting one, and we look forward to you asking us questions and contributing on all the platforms that we have. We have seasoned speakers, guests that will be speaking to us and discussing on a very, very vital issue. But I'm not going to say anything more. I'll let the women take up the stage. And the moderator for this program today is Aqua Adusei from Ghana. Good morning, Aqua. Etisei, you have the floor right now.
Good morning, good morning. Thank you so much for this opportunity and welcome to everyone here. So, like you mentioned, my name is Ike Dise from Ghana. I'm a business development manager at PayAngel. PayAngel is a fintech company that recently entered the Ghanaian market, but we have been in existence for over 11 years in UK, Canada, Australia, and US. So that's a little bit about me. I would like the other panelists on this session to introduce themselves, starting with you, Miss Suraya. Please let us know a little bit about you.
Thank you very much, Aqua. My name is Soraya Ahmed. I am a two-time founder. I founded an e-commerce and fulfillment service company, which I exited in 2021. I currently run a venture capital firm called Aduna Capital, investing in early stage founders and women in secondary cities in Africa. I also work very much with the African and the UK ecosystem. In the UK, I work with Barclays as part of Barclays Ego Labs. And of course, in Africa, I also have an accelerator that is helping tech founders validate their ideas and launch their products. Great to be here, and thank you for having me.
All right, thank you so much also. Can't wait to learn a lot from you. Okay, so I'll move on to Miss Josephine. Can you please give us a brief about you?
Thank you very much, and good morning, ladies. Good morning, everyone. My name is Josephine Nakomo Mukumbia from Uganda, and I'm the Executive Director of Agribusiness Development Center. This is a center that was founded by two financial institutions to really build capacities. And these financial institutions, one is local, called DFCU Bank, and the other is a foundation of an international one called Rabo Foundation. So in here, we really have moved to affirmative action in really promoting the engagement and diversity of enterprises, gender diversity, that is. So we really have affirmative action around including more women, but also including more youth, given the statistic in Uganda of really buying a large number of our population being youth. So I'm really pleased to be here to listen to you, to learn from you, but also to learn on behalf of our institution what other mechanisms and what other ways we can improve our agenda to more inclusivity in terms of gender and youth. Thank you very much.
Thank you, too. Miss Shakira, I'll come to you last. Please tell us something about you and welcome again.
Thank you so much. My name is Shakirat Anima Shaun. I run Enricha FinTech. Enricha FinTech is a platform promoting smart homes across Africa with using halal mortgage plans. So thus far, we've been able to facilitate hundreds of houses for women and men alike in Nigeria using halal mortgage. So what we try to do is to bring in some sort of a financial inclusion, catering to people who are interest averse, who would rather stay outside the financial system because they do not want to take or pay interest. So that's what we do. I'm happy to be here.
All right. Thank you so much and welcome once again to this online platform. So to our viewers, the topic for discussion today is investing in women, strategies for inclusive and sustainable development. So over the years, women have been underpressed in the financial sector, facing limited access to capital and other financial services. So this not only hinders their economic potential, but also represents a missed opportunity in the overall growth and development for women. So today we are going to be exploring the role of investing in women as a key driver for inclusive and sustainable development. So my first question would come to you, Miss Soraya. What are some of the challenges women face, and how do you think investing in women entrepreneurs can contribute to economic growth and job creation?
Thank you very much, Aqua. Um, I mean, the first thing I would probably say is to flip the wordings. So before I say inclusion, I would say sustainable first. And it's
Mhm.
because when we're talking about investing in women, we're talking about it more, a lot of times more from an impact perspective as against sort of a formidable investment perspective. So let me break that down. It's almost as if we want to be included because we should be included, right? But what I'm saying is statistically, companies that are run or part led by women do 64% better than companies that are led by only men, which means it is imperative that we invest in women because it is, it's going to bring us money. So there is sort of an investment decision there. And I think this point is very important because when we're talking about inclusion, it's almost as if you're including somebody that is not worthy to be included, one. Somebody that when you include them, you're going to have to deal with less. So maybe you're getting lesser returns by investing in women. And that is not really what is happening. If you invest $1 in a woman, you're likely going to get $2 back, right? And I think these are really important points to make because part of the reasons why women suffer when it comes to investment is because we have low self-esteem. We have some sort of imposter syndrome that makes us think we're not supposed to be where we are, right? So the first thing is really understanding that you're worthy of that investment. People are investing in you because you are actually an investable asset. And I think this is something that, of course, is a challenge for women in the sense that we've been made to feel like because of certain advantages, and I decided not to call them disadvantages for a reason. I'm a mother of three, and I know that there are a lot of decisions that when I'm making, I'm going to probably prioritize my family. And people think that that is a weakness, or that is something that, in essence, makes us not to deliver on things that we've been put forward to do. And that is not true because when somebody has a lot on their plate, the level of prioritization that you do is incredibly good. That's one. Secondly, the rate or the pace at which they deliver work is also incredibly fast. They say a busy person always responds earlier than somebody that is not busy because they want to attend to other things. And I think that is the perspective that I want women to start to see things first. That whatever it is that we've been made to feel is a disadvantage, I do not think is a disadvantage. I think it only makes us incredible entrepreneurs, it makes us incredible business people, it makes us people worth investing in. So the more confidence we have in ourselves and in what we're doing, the more we're able to take our position in the world and the more investors, because the thing about investment is an investor needs to trust you to invest in you, right? If you're not giving an investor that confidence that you really know what you're doing, that you can return their money with profit and returns, we're all speaking English. Nobody invests money in order to lose, right? So I think the work really is for us to first believe in ourselves, to understand that whatever disadvantages we think we have are not disadvantages, they're strengths that we should leverage on, right? And present them as strengths, not weaknesses. Um, so yeah, I'm taking this sort of from a positive perspective rather than talking about challenges and whatnot. I hope that answers the question.
Yes. Okay, so I would just like to hit on one point. If you know you're a woman entrepreneur out there, believe in yourself because I understand where you're coming from. Some people will also um, not believe that they can do it because they have other responsibilities. Some men or some people in the industry will not want to believe in women that they can actually do it. I think that is why also some companies don't like to hire women because of some responsibilities women would come with, going on maternity leave and other things. So I think I do understand your points, and thank you so much for sharing that. And I would also like to mention, I forgot to mention, I hope the viewers are having their notebooks and taking notes because these are insightful things. these leaders or these women on these platforms are sharing with us. Thank you so much. And so, Ms. Josephine, I would come to you next. Well, we've realized that some angel investors or some venture capitalists would not be interested in investing in women-led entrepreneurs or women-led businesses. How do you think we can encourage these angel investors and capitalists to support women-led business?
Thank you very much, Aqua. So I'll pick up on what Soraya said. Yes, we are looking at it from the point of the venture capitalist not being willing, or the financier generally. Let's not even get into venture capitalists not being willing to invest in women. But there's also a bit of a confidence issue. I think something I picked up from what Soraya stated, which I also observe. Are the women enterprises or are the women even approaching these financiers? Sometimes, like we have observed in our own participation with business acceleration programs, they are not in that place. They are not ready. Even like emotionally, they are not ready to be approaching anyone, or they do not have the confidence to do it. So I think it all starts also from what do we do with the ladies to make them, able and willing and encouraged and assertive to find their place on the table and to make the demands they need to make, and to have what it takes to be able to qualify, because we don't want them just to go there for the sake of going there. No, they can actually get there with enterprises that are winning enterprises. So lately in Uganda, at least, we have quite a number of programs that are seeking to see women entrepreneurs being more included in such areas, like impact investors are approaching financiers and telling them, how can I incentivize you? So to go back to your question, Aqua, looking at it from the side of the enterprise, we need to expose them to a pipeline of women enterprises that we are working with, we are working on mindset change, financial management, record keeping, the basics that will pass a KYC, that will pass a due diligence of an investor. And when we show them our pipelines and the work we are progressing with them, they will point us to other aspects that they need to see managed. That way we find a meeting point where we will start to see more women included. So that is what we do here at Agribusiness Development Center. Being owned by financials ourselves, we are given key targets of linkages. How many enterprises are we going to link to their finance in a year? And even then we have a target for what percentage of those enterprises are going to be women-led. So we need to be that granular, have specific KPIs across the BDS providers, across the venture capitalists as well. So if you're an investor in a financing entity or a venture capitalist, you need to also lay down, just to meet your ESG objectives, just to meet your GDM objectives, you need to lay down what percentage of growth do I need to see in your lending to women. And it may start with, okay, it is 0 because the pipeline is slow, they are not ready, but what extra activities are you doing as a venture capitalist? And one of the key ones that I've seen starting or that we are embarking on ourselves is partnerships. So you partner with entities that provide the capacity. They point you to the women-led enterprises. Even when they are not ready and hiding and are not confident, we do the matchmaking to see that there will be more in the pipeline so that in the future we can see more. What else can we do? When we have them pre-qualified and ready, sometimes they're still not passing. We don't give up. We keep this going and see what is the reason that you did not go through last time. Usually, we find that they have very high thresholds that are not meeting. The women enterprises maybe do not have total assets that meet the cut of where the venture capitalist wants to start to engage. So at that stage, what can we do with them in the meantime? So there are other smaller funds, other smaller investments that can be able to help them grow over time and get into the other pipeline. So those are the kinds of things I'm thinking about. Yes. And finally, venture capitalists and other financiers should be included in training around especially gender diversity management. How can they find a business case in including more women on their portfolios. So that we don't want them to look at this as just a tick box or just doing good. It should make business for them. So we show them that the statistics. How are the women enterprises going? How they can really be strong engagements because they really can be loyal. How the portfolio of women lending is usually looking better than the portfolio generally. So we show them these statistics that make a business case, and then it endears them or it encourages them to work with women enterprises. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I think I have a follow-up question.
Yes.
Forgive my ignorance, but I would just want to understand. Do you think the venture capitalists would have a certain kind of businesses that they would want to invest in, especially the types of businesses some women would be doing? I hope you understand my question.
Yes, and it all comes from the engagements you've had at the front of the venture capitalist. So, as I mentioned today, there's many programs just set out to encourage all forms of financials, including venture capitalists, in what is possible out there. So they're sometimes even placing down incentives that if you consider including more enterprises that are women-led, this is what can come with a package. And usually what comes with a package is a package of technical assistance to enable them grow their pipeline, to enable them reach out further, or sectors. Sometimes it's sector-based. So you come into a country and it's an agrarian country like Uganda, you as a venture capitalist will always usually default to what, the kind of enterprises you'll find there. So we point you to the fact that we are very largely agrarian. These are the elements, these are the sectors or subsectors that really return most. You do your analysis and you're bound to come to the party because it's making a business case.
Okay, all right. Thank you. I did hear a bit of, not directly, but I did hear a bit of mentorship and networking there. So I would come to you, Ms. Shakirat. What role do you think mentorship and networking can play in these women's lives? How far do you think it can go to help them? Hello, Ms. Shakirat, are you there, please?
Much. I think largely at the moment the woman globally gets barely less than 15% of total funding that goes into enterprises, especially when you're looking at the venture capitalists. And that calls for a serious action that needs to be taken. And I would say that part of the measures that would find effective is to be deliberate about ensuring that women are considered, not just because they are women, but basically because of the potentials that women have got to bring to the table. And I think secondly, the idea of raising funds for women needs a lot of skill development. We need to do a lot of training and retraining of women to actually understand what makes a venture investable. For instance, I remember when I was on an accelerator program with Fonda Institute, and part of what every woman-led venture needs to know is that not every investor invests in everything. What do I mean? Investors are mostly sector or gender or whatever driven. So in your search for funding, for instance, which we've identified as a very important need for women-led ventures to thrive, you need to do your research to know who exactly is interested in your space by virtue of what you've done in the past. When you're fundraising, you see a lot of you have a lot of conversations, and you must not give up. You must understand, if you're in Africa, for instance, like myself, who are the VCs, who are the funders, who are the financial institutions that are interested in Africa. If you're in education, for instance, you want to go look for investors who are interested in that space. If you're in, for instance, housing or shelter, where I am, you want to look for investors that are interested in that space. You only want to look out for investors who have invested in women in the past. The tendency that they'll be interested in your venture is higher than those that probably do not have a budget for it. And another very important one is networking. It has to be promoted. Women can relate more often than not quite easily and faster with women. Talking about networking now. I remember there are situations where peer-to-peer works among women because we are known to be reliable, we are known to have integrity when it comes to loan payback. We can be very, very good with that. I mean, payback. And so you see that sometimes bootstrapping, when you're just upcoming, when you're starting, when no one may be really willing to invest in you, of course, you want to ensure your MVP, that equally costs money. So at that point, your network really helps. Talking from my own personal experience, I remember a number of friends came together to say, okay, how much do you need to do this? And then they put the money together. And that enabled me to take off at all. Equally, so that is one thing that could actually be an advantage considering who we women that may not even so easy among men to say. So like Soraya said, we need to take advantage of our nature to benefit our business. So coming together as a network of women really works. And I think another very important one that has kept me personally in business is mentorship. Sometimes what you find difficult, what you're struggling, done it successfully, and so that enables you to cross the hurdle with less stress. For instance, I remember one very popular video on LinkedIn where the guy fell into a ditch and was struggling to come out and was looking for help by all means and was finding it difficult. So a guy eventually jumped in and he said, wow, for you, why would you join me here? How do we both come out? Now we are both stuck. And the guy said, oh, worry not. I've been there and I was able to make it out. So I can actually lead you out of this ditch. So that's what networking does. A ditch that would appear like you will never come out can actually become very easy to come out when you have a mentor in place. I remember mentors I worked with while I was doing my MVP pointed sites to things I would not consider ordinarily. Really helped, and mentoring other people. Behind me, so it really has helped a whole lot. So I would say that these are some of the strategies that can be deployed to ensure that women-led ventures are actually able to take off and thrive. If you look at it globally now, in Africa as a whole, only 27 women have been able to raise funds beyond $3 million altogether. 27. Imagine our population and just put that aside, other numbers that would see for other ventures. It then means that the gap is huge and we need to be very deliberate about it. So we need to ensure that we do skill development for women. Want to ensure that you educate women about self-awareness. You educate women about who they are, use their femininity without necessarily struggling with men or competing with men, so to say, but ensuring that we live the truest and the highest possible life that we can to make impact on the world around us. So we can do a whole lot. Women naturally have, let me say, much more responsibilities to your children, to your sisters, to almost everybody around. And that should not actually be a disadvantage, it should be an advantage. And I can tell you that a woman entrepreneur with a very good self-awareness would actually make a better mother, will make a better sister, will make a better daughter, and will be much more beneficial to our environment than the one that's not. So that means that investments in women is one with a very huge multiplier results. So we need to give it the attention that it desires. So let me stop at this so we have the opportunity to take more questions.
All right, thank you. Miss Raya, would you have anything to say to that?
Yes, thank you very much to those Josephine and Shakira. Great points. So as sort of a pattern message, what I wanted to put out there is the VC myth, as I call it. When we started Aduna Capital, we quickly realized that the way people view VC in general, not just women, view VC and investing is really not how it should be viewed. And let me break this down. Before VC, we know that when somebody starts a business, one, they try to make sure that that business is profitable or sustainable, right? And then from that, they probably go for different instruments, including debt or private equity, something that is more towards a sustainable business. Now, VC, when VC came, VC is an outlier game. And I think this is something that is not being passed enough. So I wanted to make sure I made this point before I leave. I'm running a bit late. VC is not mainstream. VC is an outlier game. So a VC to invest in you, you need to ask yourself how you can take your business from where it is to potentially providing them with 10x return on their investment. So if a VC gives you $100,000, they're expecting that in the next couple of years, they're returning $1 million. So you need to really ask yourself if your business is able to return that in capital appreciation, right? VCs are not after profit. They're after, capital appreciation or share value. So it's really important to recognize, one, is your company VC backable or not? My first company was not VC backable, but I raised money from a family office. I definitely gave a lot more equity than I would. I gave up like 46% of a company, but rightly so, because I was paying dividends. I was not aiming for, the kind of flutterwave growth or whatever, where that company could potentially grow to 100x or to 1000x for the VCs. So I think that there's really a VC myth that should be busted, right? Any VC investing in you wants to see how they can exit your business. So potentially you listing on a stock exchange that can give them that return multiple, or somebody buying your company or acquiring your company. They're not really looking for dividends. If your company is profitable and you can pay out dividends, then you should approach more private equity investors, family offices that are looking for profits. So I think these are things that and part of the work that I'm doing, that I'm very interested in, and I'm working with the University of Oxford on, is really exploring the kind of financial instrument that is suitable for Africa as a continent. Because we keep saying VC, but VC is not really suitable in the sense that it is not mainstream. It is not like debt. It is a very outlier investment instrument, and hence we should really be looking at what other sustainable investment instruments we can have to fill this gap that VC has left in the space. So thank you very much, and I hope this was helpful and I've been able to contribute in my little way. I wish I would be able to stay throughout the session, but unfortunately I can't. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you too for joining us. Thank you.
And do have a safe trip.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
All right, so I think we can continue, and I do hope we are still learning a lot. So I would come to both you and both Josephine and Miss Shakirat. I want to ask this question. How do you think financial institutions, especially with the fact that women still, or studies have still shown that a lot of women are still having major access or not having access to finance or capital. How do you think financial institutions can leverage technology to help bridge that gap for women? So any of you can go first. Who would like to go first? Miss Shakirat?
Okay. Okay. Let me take this. I think largely technology can actually remove all the barriers possible, like being financial platform operator myself. I can tell you that supporting SMEs where most women are.
Hello, Miss
In the real
Shakirat?
sense of it, is actually okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, this is much better. You can go on.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
please.
Okay. Thank you so much. So I was trying to explain that administering SME funding for financial institutions is typically expensive. How do I mean? What you would go through to 100 million naira, for instance, a venture in trying to do the credit assessments, a background check, and all that is necessary for any funder to give out his fund, to give 100,000 naira if care is not taken. So that makes it expensive. And again, you find out that a lot of women-led ventures struggle with what the requirements, the collateral, the traction, and all that a typical financial institution wants to see. But with the use technology
Hello, Ms. Shakirat.
to do the to administer whatever you need.
Hi, Ms. Josephine, please, can you hear me? Hello? Ms. Josephine, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can hear you.
Okay. I think we've lost Ms. Shakirat. Do you have anything to say on the question? On the role of technology and how financial institutions can leverage that to help women access funding better?
Okay. First of all, I still go back to the point that one of the colleagues raised about the confidence and even just the awareness of such programs by women. So technology can help us to reach them. Lately, many people really generally are accessing a lot of information online. So financial institutions are also generally growing in putting and placing, I would call it like their mobilization of including more women in their portfolios can actually be taken online as well, to technologically be able to reach farther than they would normally reach, because some networks may not be joined by these women-led enterprises. Some audiences so far, they are not reaching those tables, but there is now well-placed calls and well-placed alerts and well-placed, call them advertisements that invite them specifically or point out to them specifically that maybe this particular product is more suited for a women-led enterprise, so participate more. So technology plays a role in reaching them even before it gets into credit scoring them, into looking at their KYCs online, like Shakirat has been pointing out, just getting some of the things out of the way to reduce the time and also partnerships. I'll talk about partnerships that have enabled financial institutions that they'll approach this from a point of, I am not a tech company, I am an institution that has been set up to collect these liabilities and turn them into assets and make money on that. But when you're in partnership with agencies like, let's say, UNCDF, which is really looking at very many tech companies enabling financial inclusion, you find that these partnerships have enabled the financial institutions to reach further and also to have products that can reach not even just women-led enterprises, but generally reach more smaller and medium enterprises who ordinarily wouldn't have been able to go through some of the hurdles or meet some of the stringent requirements. The other element is risk management. So the data that can be collected still electronically can also be analyzed. The data analysis can reduce the risk for the financial institution, which is a really, really risk mitigating focused institution, to point it to which enterprises to look at. And indeed, like I believe also Shakirat pointed out already, we see these tendencies. It's not a secret that you find like credit histories of women is usually in any portfolio a little better than the history of the other gender. So it points you to the basic data and analysis of that data that points you to the client, that informs you to develop products to reach them, but also to serve them. So that's the role I'm seeing that financial institutions are taking up with technology. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Shakirat, I know you didn't finish.
Yeah. So sorry. So sorry. The network threw me out. Okay, so I was going to mention that part of what technology can do to facilitate funding for women-led ventures is, like she said, partnership with fintechs really would work. And equally, women can come up with their own P2P platform where you actually have women supporting women to raise funds. Like Soraya said, VC is not for everyone. That's the truth. And even the financial institutions, not every woman can actually get to that point just immediately. So you may want to put up, technology can help at the initial stage where you can actually come together to do peer-to-peer, where you can do crowdfunding. So you can use technology to administer stuff like this quite easily that were not possible in the past, which enables you to have access across the globe. And also in addition to that, if you look at the way tokenization works, you can actually have, call it a fund or call it a platform where things are broken into small, small parts, and almost every woman can support a woman, and that makes us all become bigger eventually.
Oh,
Oh, I think
Established, you have some sort of partner, all that enables you to thrive. But you can equally have a platform who can actually support themselves, meaning
I think we lost her again. Hi. I think technology has to be doing more for Miss Shakira. But anyways, thank you, Miss Josephine, for your point as well. I think I have. Oh, I actually wanted to ask Miss Shakira a follow-up question in relation to what she said, but I'd wait for her to come back. But so far, I think we've shared a lot of insightful points, and I hope a lot of people are doing it. I myself have gotten the opportunity to be have worked with a UNCDF at a point on some projects that have helped women in rural areas with access to finance and all of that. So I think we've really come a long way as institutions and as a country as a whole and in Africa as a whole, because looking back, it wasn't that great at all. But I think now we have really come a long way. There is still more work to be done, and I think there's a lot of potential in women-led ventures. So yes. And to my next question, I think I would shift this a bit because sometimes we don't find a lot of women pursuing careers in
yeah.
investment banking and finance. You see them going into other careers like nursing because those are easier things to do. How do you think we can encourage more women to pursue such careers in investment, banking, and then finance?
Yeah. Aqua, thank you very much for that. I don't even believe nursing is easier than investment banking, but I think it's the nature, and we are a naturals, and so right from our parents, we were being led in certain fields. We were being led into hospitality. We were being led into. So it's I'll bucket this into like 4 areas where we can support the career pathway to finance our investment banking careers. And to my mind, it's good to include more, but there is no harm in also being in other careers, really, and doing our best there. But I would bucket this into how can we ensure that there is more inclusiveness, women inclusiveness in say this particular career, is I would bucket it in terms of what has happened at the family front, what has happened in the education system, what is happening in the industry itself and the community as a whole. Those are the buckets. So when I start with family, I go back to what is that conversation you're having with your children generally, girls including boys, about their careers? How are we engaging them to give them the confidence to be the best they can be? Because the confidence setup begins at that front. Are you a missing parent in this particular conversation? Are you encouraging them, or do you give them a dole and say, for you, that's your path? Are we giving it open to see that they can reach their full potential, whichever direction it tells them? And are we exposing them to careers? Like, would you walk with your daughter to your school where you teach to observe? Would you walk them to your a bank where you work to see? banks have family days. Are they attending? The impression first registers for that girl to have an ambition when she walks into this bank and finds these ladies. Or even if she finds the men, she finds a man who will ask her, would you like to work in this position? So I think the home front has a big role to play in how we form our careers or how we believe our careers can be. Then when we get to the education system, how is it inclusive in itself? We have programs, I don't know about Ghana, but at least in Uganda, and I suspect in Ghana as well, because we do many similar programs. We have a universal primary school education, and one of its purposes was to see the inclusivity. It ends with a bit of affirmative action at the university level to see more inclusion of girls by giving them a certain grade to enable them reach some aspects they were not able to reach. So recently, the statistics are showing there's been a shift over the last 2 decades to see more inclusion. But there are also specific programs from the government perspectives to keep a girl in school. And this assesses what causes them to drop out. Because there are some careers you'll never see sight of if you really didn't study. You understand? You
Yes.
may fall into some aspects, like maybe, let me not even speak about them, but you will have a very limited choice for your career if you didn't see you got to the end of your studying for a certain career. But if you knew right from being at home that you can aspire to go to investment banking, and then when you're studying, you're looking and observing other parties in investment banking, you study for the same, then you have half a chance, and you're not just being given the job for including women, but you actually qualify for the job. So the education system in itself should be supportive. And then when I get to the exposure visits that can happen in the education system, many a time our children are going to the zoo, are going to areas, they should go in workspaces to observe and see women in these careers. The few women there, how did this woman get to the board role in this investment firm? What is her contribution? I can actually aspire to be like her. So they need to be exposed to real life women and men in these areas to give them the encouragement that they can also get there. And finally, from a communal perspective, what is the entire community rallying around this young lady? What are the programs within the community that give her the confidence that she can actually get to this? So when I look then at the industry itself and the farms, that's where I'll speak to what we do and what we are contributing in terms of promoting social aspects of these investment firms. One of the key things they're looking at is inclusivity. So they need to have some action and seek schools and seek entities of higher learning to know how many of the people in your pipeline can get into my farm so that their career can be built. They can go to schools and speak to these children and say, in our farm, we need this kind of lady, and you can aspire to join us if you do X, Y, Z. So in those 4 buckets, that's how I think would really grow this number. And we can. Thank you.
I think I agree with what you said, especially with the terms of women exposing their kids at an early age to certain careers. For me, I would use myself an example. My mom was a teacher, so I got the opportunity to follow her, and she had the opportunity to teach in different schools before she became a head teacher. So I had the
Yes.
opportunity to visit every school, and I got to see people's parents, bankers coming in with their kids. So I got to see all of that. And going to the market with my mother, I have always been a finance person. So every time my mom goes to the market and she comes back, I'm the first person to go and empty the bags and starts counting the money just to know how much she spends. So I think that is a good thing, exposing your kids at an early, because I don't think right now people do that to their kids. They're always about take your books and read. They've already kind of chosen the career path for their
Yeah.
kids even before they were born. I want my daughter to be a doctor. I want my daughter to be this. But there are other industries like the finance, especially technology industry, where now we see women are playing a critical role there. But I think during my time, during the technology class, there were about 18 boys and just 2 ladies. And even one lady dropped out because she couldn't. By that point, nobody was there to encourage her, to tell her that you can actually do it, so you should stay and learn. more maybe she could not be, she wasn't getting the encouragement from home as well. So I think what you're saying is true. As a society or in the schools or in our homes, we need to help encourage and expose our children and young ladies, whoever it may be. It could be your friend or your daughter or your nephew, your niece, or anyone at all. So I think it's a good thing. Thank you so much for that. And I would ask one last question before maybe I will take if questions are coming in from the audience as well. In terms of corporate governance, there are some institutions that have less women than men,
Yeah.
especially like in the investment firms. You find more men in investment firms than in women. What role can corporate governance play in promoting gender equality in investment firms?
Yes. Thank you very much. And this goes back to the gender diversity kind of training that we really promote right now. So, in the whole holistic way of looking at the results of an entity or a company, environmental, social, and governance issues are really need to be looked at as a whole. In the past, we used to really look at this particular trio as the triple P, which was the planet, the people, and the profit. So it is reflective of now what we call the environment, the social, and the governance. And when it comes to the governance, we are the leadership to drive what will happen on the environmental social front. We would like to be able to take the message that our profits will be more sustained as enterprises if we consider the other aspects as well. So, for as long as a financial institution, a tech company, anybody making money does not see a business case in the argument for more women in the boardroom or more women in leadership or more women in senior management, if they are not seeing a business case, it's already a hard ask. So the task that we all have is to explore, is my inclusivity of more women going to improve my business? And not just on paper. Does it have any merits? So diversity in itself has had a lot of studies, and there is some hard evidence to show that well-diversified institutions tend to deliver better. And the diversity is even beyond just the genders, even by age. So we need to find this in context of our businesses. And when we know this as leaders in corporate governance, we can then drive. So today you find boards that within their charter have written out how they are going to maintain a certain percentage of male and female because they are learning it and they've learned it. You find that in adverts of when a financial institution is asking for a job to ask that, there's more affirmative action in terms of the application that for this role would like more women to be engaged. Recently, I was participating in an interview. We needed a colleague in our innovations department, and the last few people that came to my panel of the interview panel were all gentlemen. So I'm like, how come we really didn't have anyone coming through? And indeed, it was clear that right from the application, even though we encouraged, there were very few. So, Aqua, what you are saying was very true, because I asked one of the interviewees to say, in your class, how many girls were in your class? I got curious. And indeed, he said one, and there were about 30. So it needs to happen right from education to be able to see that they will even seep through into the career and into the governance spaces. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I have really learned a lot from this session, and I hope everyone has learned a lot and has taken something. So I will just take a few words from you, Ms. Josephine, and we can wrap up.
Okay. By way of a parting shot, I just observed something that I really think can also work for us in this agenda. We need male champions. We need to work on this every time, because there is no institution that's going to operate with one gender at any time. I don't want us to bring up one gender at the expense of another, because collectively the diversity is what creates the best. So we need male champions on this course. We need male champions right from the father in the home to the teachers in the school to the bosses in the workplace. You always need a gender champion to push your best gender diversity approach. Thank you.
Thank you. And I see Miss Shakira's missed that, so she has rejoined us.
Yeah.
Hello, Miss Shakira, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. And that was a fantastic wrap up from Josephine. We can't definitely do
Okay.
it alone. We need our men. They are created
Mm-hmm.
quite differently from the way we are created, and for that reason, we have to complement each other. We need them. While we are being intentional too, to ensure that we contribute our quota, most optimally. So that's a fantastic wrap up from Ms. Josephine.
Okay. I did, but I seems technology had some effects on you, so we will have to look at that later. But before we go,
You
do you
did,
have any last words
unfortunately.
for everyone?
Well, I think my last word would be that talking to women now, just the way we drive on the streets and we expect that naturally men should give us way, we shouldn't bring that to the business space. We
Yeah.
should rather do business very intentionally, and then I should equally say that we should be all round in almost everything we do. We should be very intentional. Much as we're created to be emotional, to care for everyone, we should care for ourselves as well. Check our health,
Hello.
check out, ensure that intentional about business. Business is regardless of gender. However, we need.
I think her line is breaking up a bit, but then I would say one last thing before I hand over to you, Mr. Olus. I would like to thank Miss Josephine, Miss Shakira, and Miss Uriah, even though she isn't here. Thank you for sharing insightful things on this topic. I say I have really learned a lot, and I'm looking forward to us putting together and us embarking on these strategies or initiatives that we have mentioned to help bring inclusivity in women. So, like the former president of Malawi once said, when you invest in a woman, you invest in the community. And when you invest in the community, you invest in the future. So, I'll leave you all with this quote. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It was nice interacting with you all. Back to you, Mr. Olu.
Thank you very much. It's been a very wonderful and exciting session. Thank you, Josephine. Thank you, Shakirat. Thank you, Suraya and Aqua. Thank you so much for the wonderful session. Your contributions were intense and they were really impactful. Everybody could learn one thing or the other from it. I've learned from listening to you also, although I'm not a woman, but I've been able to pick one or two things from what you people have said. It's so nice having you, and thank you for your time. Wibbifit 2024 continues, and in a short while, we'll be having another keynote speaker. But until then, stay tuned. Thank you, everybody.